Hola, ¿cómo está? Dustin Harris hanging out with you. Another podcast for you, another listener feedback episode today. This is where I answer questions that have come in through a variety of sources, email, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't even know how to use LinkedIn. Who am I kidding? Twitter. I've been on there recently. I used to be really heavy on Twitter, but not so much anymore. I should get back to that, but mostly Facebook and email, and also the contact thing through my portal on the website. Mostly from listeners, some other followers in various aspects probably, but we'll get through as many of these as we can today. Want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by Alamode Software. Alamode is offering a free 15-day trial. You can try it out and find out why they are the best. Just check them out at alamode.com/free trial. Once again, alamode.com/free trial, or you can, of course, reach out to them via phone, 800-ALAMODE. That's 800-ALAMODE. We're also sponsored by DataMaster. You can go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach for a full 14-day free trial. Again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. That's got a cool ring to it. Datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. 14 days, folks, and you can try them out. And we're also sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Guys, I'll tell you, I love the guys over at Working RE Magazine. Maybe I'll tell you a story. Maybe I won't. I'll think about it, but when we come to the sponsors, I may tell you a story that happened just today. It was kind of funny with them. WorkingRE.com, that's where you can find all the information that you need about what's going on in the appraisal industry. Okay, folks. So these are questions that have come in over the last little while. We used to do this fairly often. Haven't for a while, but I want to get back to it today because these things are piling up. I've got a stack here. I guarantee we're not going to get through them all, but we'll get through as many as we can here. All right, question number one comes from Greg. Greg says, been listening for a while. Thanks for making my drive time more enjoyable. You're welcome, Greg. I actually look forward to driving comps now. Wow, Greg, that's a statement. Question for you. How do you communicate with your office during the workday? Great question, Greg. I communicate with my office a variety of different ways. It really kind of depends on the communication that I need to put out there. So I know everybody hates that answer, right? It depends, but it really does. It depends on a couple of things, and mainly it has to do with whether or not I need a lot of back and forth. It also has to do with the length of the message. It has to do with where I'm at and what I'm doing at the time. So let me just break it down really quickly for you, and then I'm going to point you to another episode, which will probably go into a little bit more detail for you. For the most part, I use an app on our smartphones. You can use it on Apple. You can use it on Android. It's called Voxer, Voxer. The other one out there that I know of is Haytel, Heytell. I know if you've only got iPhones in your office, you can also just use the text message deal, and you can do an audio. That's really what Voxer is all about. Now, I can do pictures, and I use those, by the way, for a variety of things. We also use video once in a while, not very often on Voxer. But Voxer is mainly a walkie-talkie type app. It allows me to be able to communicate back and forth with the office. So I could just click on there really quick and say, hey, Jessica, I need you to call so-and-so. I'm running late. And she'll Vox back. Got it. On it, boss. Good to go. Now, for short messages, sometimes I do texting, not while I'm driving. I will sometimes do voice to text while I'm driving, but I don't do the whole thumb, hands off the wheel thing. Very dangerous. Would not suggest that at all. Let's not get ourselves killed out there, folks. Yeah, so Voxer I use for the most part, and we also use email, of course. Reviewing reports, that kind of thing. That all happens through email. I do use text. And I also use Voxer while I'm in my inspections, but I don't typically use the audio. Now, if I'm downstairs in a basement and the borrower's upstairs and I know they can't hear me, I might shoot a quick message to the office. But for the most part, if I'm in an inspection, I'm gonna text it out. And Voxer allows you to do that as well. So, Greg, the answer to your question, what do I use to communicate with the office? Mainly four things. Voxer, phone call, texting, or email. Just depends on what I'm doing. Now, if you want more information, Greg, or anybody else on my communication style between me being out in the field and others being at the office, I would refer you to episode number 174. It's called Communication with the Appraisal Office. 174, Communication with the Appraisal Office. Okay. Just listen to your WWYD episode. Love the concept, started implementing it this week. I have to say it has not been going very well. I think it's because it is new. Any hints from Janice T? Okay, so what she's referring to is episode number 202. And I called it WWYD, a little bit of a teaser because nobody's going to know what that means until they actually jump into it. So I'll just tell you up front because most of you have already heard it. WWYD, by the way, I used this today. Okay, and I'll tell you about that. WWYD basically stands for, short for, what would you do? Okay? And it's basically the way that I sometimes answer my employees when they ask me questions. And basically, it is a way for me to train them by turning the question back on themselves. Because we're lazy, okay? Everybody's lazy. My employees are lazy. I'm lazy. Everybody's lazy, right? So it's easier to reach out to the boss and say, hey, what should I do here? Instead of actually using our brain and thinking through it, okay? But I want my employees to use their brain and think through it. And so I put out an episode, number 202. You can listen to it in depth. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but it's basically my way of turning it back on them, okay? So Janice is saying, hey, I like the concept. I started implementing, but it's not going very well. My guess is that she's getting a little bit of kickback from her employees. Now, Janice, I'm going to give you 2 points of advice here, okay? Number 1, I would not just spring this on my employees. In other words, I would just not start doing this. It would probably rub them the wrong way, probably because it just, it seems inhumane. Okay? It seems like the non-nice way to handle things. Hey, Dustin, how would you do this? Hey, why don't you figure that out yourself? Okay, right? That's kind of what it sounds like. And that's really kind of what it is. But the point is I would tell them up front, okay, number 1, tell them up front. I would sit them down in a staff meeting and say, hey, folks, I'm going to start a new deal. And it's going to be called WWYD. And here's the deal. The reason I'm doing this is because, not because I'm lazy, not because I don't want to answer your question, but because I want you guys to start thinking for yourself more. Okay. And so I think that sometimes you can probably think for yourself when you ask me questions. And if I think that you can probably figure it out on your own, I'm going to turn it back on you. And I'm going to say WWYD. What would you do if I weren't here? What would you do if I weren't here? Okay. Number 1, tell them, Janice, up front. Number 2, have some fun with it. Okay. Number 2, have some fun with it. In other words, wink when you say it. Okay. Your body language says so much. Okay. WWYD. Give them a little wink. You know. Oh, hey. Oh, that's right. I remember that. Okay. In other words, the way that you present it can go a long way in how it's actually received, Janice, okay? I used this today. I had an email from my assistant. She had a kickback, if you will, a correction or an additional question on one of the reports we had done. This was a really hard report, multi-million-dollar property in the Jackson Hole area, brand new construction, came in $10 million. I mean, it's a big, big honking thing. We didn't charge enough, by the way. Another lesson for another day. We were slow. We accepted a lower fee. Shouldn't have. Anyway, she came back today and she said, hey, here's the question from the underwriter. How should I answer it? And I said to her, what would you do? And she wrote back and she said, well, I already covered the answer. And I said, well, great, but they're asking an additional question. What would you do if I weren't here? She's not got back to me yet. Of course, she's going to clear all of that before she sends it off in the report. It's my report, right? But I want her to start thinking through these things. As a trainee, she needs to learn how to answer these types of things. Not that she's given full rein to answer them and send it off. Absolutely not. No way. But I want to see what her answer is first, and then I'm going to tweak it, right? I want to have her do the heavy lifting, and then I'm going to tweak it, okay? So Janice, tell them up front what you're doing, and then remind them that it's a lighthearted thing when you wink at them or your body language says, hey, here's the deal. Just wanted to remind you, okay? Next question, after I take another drink. Thanks for having Craig on. He's talking about Craig Morley, by the way. Craig on to talk about the new changes to Fannie Mae. Roy, just a clarification real quick. This is from Roy G. The question is from Roy G. It was not a change to Fannie Mae. I know a lot of people are portraying it that way. It was a clarification. It had to do with the trainees being allowed to go on their own, unaccompanied, to an inspection. Okay, it's always been that way. Fannie Mae's always allowed it, but they did clarify it. Okay. Going on with the question, I have to say, though, it seems like his issue with it were more about Utah than the rest of the country. Tell me why I shouldn't be hiring a trainee or two again. Okay, from Roy G. Great question, Roy. I actually got a couple of similar questions, and I know Craig got some similar questions as well on this, okay? So Craig Morley from Utah was on episode 201, and we were talking about the clarification from Fannie Mae. And He had some hesitancy. In other words, he thought it was a good step, but he feared, because he'd been on a state board for 8 years, that it might lead to some supervisors, some appraisers, not fully thinking through this and thinking, oh, I've got full reign to let my trainee do whatever they want. And his concern mostly was with the form, because the form specifically, talks about an appraiser, where in Utah, there's not a trainee's license. Okay. That's a change, by the way, from what they used to have. And so here is a situation that Roy asked about. He says, isn't that more to do with Utah? And the answer, Roy, is yes, and several other states. So you've got to be really careful about the states that you belong to. I don't know where you're at, Roy, but I will say this. Well, your question is, tell me why I shouldn't be hiring a trainee or two again. I'm not going to tell you why you shouldn't, because I'll tell you what, I'm looking at the same thing myself. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was right in the process of hiring a certified appraiser to bring them into my area to open up, not open up, but expand into again. I've been there for years, but I don't do a lot of work in an adjacent area. And I would like to do more work there, and I need another person in order to do that. And I'm looking at certified, looking at bringing somebody in from another state if I need to. And partnering with me, and we can work together. I have put that, I shouldn't say on hold, but I've put the brakes on a little bit. Okay. I've slowed way down. And the reason for that is I want to wait and see what's happening with this. I almost said it too, change, right? It's not a change, about this clarification. Now, immediately, and we talked about this on episode 201, immediately StreetLinks jumped on and said, hey, yeah, guess what? We're good with that. As long as our clients are good with that, we're good with that. Red Sky's been doing it for years. So that's the deal. First of all, check with your state laws. You need to make sure that the state that you're in allows this, and let's wait and see what the clients do. My hope is that more and more AMCs and more clients will allow trainees to go out and do inspections. Let me pause here, and just because I get a lot of backlash from this, okay, I just want to clarify. I'm not talking about hiring somebody and 2 weeks later sending them out to do inspections, okay? Qualified, highly trained, very well looked over, and I would even say send them out with a video camera, okay? Even after they're trained and you trust them. And then we're talking months of training here, folks, not days, not weeks, okay? Certainly not hours. We're talking a lot of time till you trust that person, but that, to me, is the key. I absolutely think that's the key to growth in the appraisal world, is being able to hire more people. And the only way to do that is to financially incentivize the appraiser who's going to hire them. And for me, that's allowing them to be able to go into these other areas that I don't have the physical capacity to go to all the time. So, okay, let's pause here for just a second. I've got several other, I think I'm going to get to maybe 2, 3 more. But I want to pause and remind you that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. A la Mode is the top of the heap. Okay, there's a lot of software companies out there, and I respect them, and I know the CEOs of these companies, and they are great, great people, and their software is awesome. I've used almost all of them. Great software. There is a reason a la Mode's at the top. The reason being is all the features that allow you to be more efficient, more effective at what you do. Guess what? Every software out there for appraisal will allow you to complete Fannie Mae appraisals, okay? Why do I use Total? Well, first of all, I've been using it forever. But second of all, I know what it does as compared to some of those other companies. I'll give you one example. I was typing in a comp just yesterday and just entering in the comp. I put in the address, and as soon as I entered out or tabbed out of that field, a little thing popped up and said, you've used this comp before. Do you want to just use the one that you've used before? I have the choice as an appraiser. So in other words, I still get to make the decision. But yeah, heck yeah, I want to use it before. Click yes, and all of a sudden that comp filled itself out. Awesome. Time saver? Absolutely. Quality? Absolutely. What if I put Q3 last time, and this time it kind of looked like a Q4 to me? Okay, I'm going to know that I put Q3 last time, and I don't have to get those stipulations. Love a la Mode. You will too. Check them out. 1-800-A-LA-MODE, or go to alamode.com/free trial. alamode.com/free trial. Data Master. Love. Talk about efficiencies, folks. Talk about filling in comps. How would you like to hit one button and all 6 or 8 or 10 or 15 of your comps get filled out? Bam, just that quick. That's why they say that they can type tens of thousands of words per minute. Why? Because within seconds, those comps get entered. The MC sheet gets filled out. The top of the grid gets filled out. The subject section gets filled out. Folks, if you're not using Data Master, what the heck is wrong with you? Check them out right now. Go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to do a little jig as I say it. Datamasterfreetrial.com/ I got to put some music to that, right? Datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. We got to figure something out there. 14 days allow you to speed up your process. And in the process of speeding up your process, you also increase the quality of your reports. Datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Okay. Should I tell you the story? I'm going to tell you the story. Okay. So we, our Appraiser Coach All-Star Team newsletter. Okay, this is the 8-page color newsletter that comes out every week. I told you a couple weeks ago that we are now an audio version, right? So I put out an ad through Working RE. Why? Because they have a huge reach. They're a highly respected company. I put out an ad through Working RE. My marketing guy is a brilliant guy. He put together an ad. I'm not gonna describe it because I want you to find it. Okay. Let's just say if you haven't seen it, you need to go to Working RE and see if you can find it, right? So this is an ad for the new audio version. So I've now started reading the audio book I've now started reading the newsletter every single month. Okay, so you can listen to it while you drive. We put out an ad through Working RE. I specifically asked Isaac, are you sure you want to put this puppy out? He said, you bet. It's creative. Let's do it. He did it, and of course, he got some naysayers out there that didn't like the ad. It was a little pushed the envelope a little bit, right? So I was a little bit worried about it. Oh, maybe I made the guys over at Working RE mad, and I said, hey, I'm sorry for that, and they were kind-hearted about it. And then David wrote back and just says, you know what? It is what it is. I just loved his response. I should have even pulled it up and just read it to you. These guys are real people with real heads on their shoulders. They are marketing geniuses. And I'll tell you the reason you want to get to know Working RE Magazine. If you want to know what's going on in the appraisal world, these are the guys that you need to go to. Why? That is their job. Every day they are looking, scouring, interviewing, putting together their print magazine, their online stuff. I tell you folks, if you want to know what's happening in your profession, you want it from stand-up people, go to workingre.com. Once again, it's workingre.com, as in working real estate, workingre.com for more information. All right, folks, we are back. We are talking today. This is a listener feedback episode. I'm basically taking questions. And by the way, if you have any questions for the Appraiser Coach, please send them to thecoach@theappraisercoach.com. Or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you could message me that way. If you're part of the All-Star team, there's, of course, that communication portal as well. So the next question comes from Dwayne K. He says, loved the USPAP Myth or Facts episode. By the way, that was episode 195 and 199. Okay, if you didn't, those were very, very popular, and we may do that again. It was super fun. So again, Dwayne says, love the USPAP Myth or Facts episodes. Please do more of those. My question is, does USPAP require a sketch? Am I breaking USPAP if I use a county sketch and indicate where it came from? Okay, great question, Dwayne. Pretty straightforward, I think, on this. Again, I want to qualify this. I am not a USPAP instructor. I've been accused of being one before. I'm not, okay? That being said, I am 99.99999% sure, okay? And by the way, the advice you get here is the price you paid for it, which was $0, okay? I am 99.99999% sure that no, you are not breaking USPAP if you import a county sketch. Now, here's the problem, Dwayne. Don't leave the room yet, okay? Because there's more to this answer here. First of all, you may want to look at your state laws. I always want to make that clarification because I can't keep track of all 50 state laws. I don't know of any state laws that require that you sketch the property yourself, okay? You also want to check your client requests. I think that you're probably going to find a lot of clients do require your own sketch. But here's the big thing, Dwayne. Business practices, quality of report, being able to stand behind your inspection and your work and your opinions, okay? I would highly recommend that you do your own sketching, okay? Can you do it? Can USPAP allow it? Does your state law probably allow it? Sure. Is it possible you're working for a client that it's okay with? Sure. Can you put a qualification there that says the sketch and the square footage came from the county? I'm making an extraordinary assumption that it's correct. Sure, you can do all of that, okay? I would just highly suggest that at the very least, you at least take that county sketch and verify, several walls and make sure that the county is on. I'll tell you, if you work in my area, the county is off probably more than it's on. Okay, I'm telling you that from absolute experience. Most of the time they are not on. I would rather use my own sketch. Can you do it? Does UsePap allow it? Yes. Should you do it? That's a whole other question. Okay, great question. Thank you, Dwayne. Next question comes from Vicky. She says, I just listened to your episode on state board complaints. Okay. By the way, that was episode 197 on state board complaints. Just listen to your episode on state board complaints. My question is, at what point do you call your E&O? Great question. I think we actually addressed that kind of. Maybe we didn't quite hammer it enough for you, Vicki, but we did talk a little bit about that on the episode. So the question is, you've got a state board complaint. Do you let your E&O in on it? Now, it's a great question. First of all, you need to understand that most E&O companies do not cover state board complaints. Okay, OREP is a sponsor here, and OREP does allow you to talk to a former state board member for up to 30 minutes free, if you get one of these and just, chat with him and just say, hey, here's what's going on. What do you think I should do? Okay. I would highly recommend OREP members take advantage of that service. I think it's a huge benefit to them. Okay. But this is a big but, right? Most E&O companies will not cover state board defense, state board complaints. Okay, E&O is more about malfeasance and more about the civil side and more about lawsuits and that kind of thing. Okay, so do you tell your E&O? Yes. When do you tell your E&O? The question is, what point do you call your E&O? Vicky's right up front, Vicky. I mean, I would say don't wait. Here's the thing: most appraisers are afraid to tell their E&O company that they are being taken up before their state board. Why? Because they're afraid their premiums are going to go up. Okay. Isaac, David, if you're listening to this, correct me if I'm wrong, get on the comments and correct me here, but your premium is not going to go up just because you have a complaint from the state board, okay? It's not going to hurt to call them and say, hey, here's what's going on. How would you suggest I proceed? You may find a benefit like OREP, and they say, hey, you know what, call this individual, and because you're an OREP member, free of charge, you can talk with him for a half hour and find out what he suggests. At the very worst, they're going to say, hey, you know what, let me know how it turns out. And that may affect things. I don't know. But you're not going to get dinged on your premiums just because somebody complained to your state board. Okay. So I'd say right up front, Vicki, great question. Let's do one more, shall we? This is from, I didn't write down the name. Okay. Well, this is from Anonymous. I agree with you, Dustin. This is a profession and an industry. Okay, he's referring to a prior episode on, is appraisal profession or is it the appraisal industry? Okay, I think your argument between them is a little sophomoric. By the way, would you please help me with something? How do you? I'm not going to help you with something, Anonymous, when you just called me sophomoric. By the way, would you help me with something? Sure, why not? How do you market to attorneys? Boy, that's a pretty heavy-duty question, Mr. Anonymous, after you called me sophomoric. He goes on to say, or she, I have wanted to get into that market forever, and I just do not know how to break through. Oh, you know what? I misread that. He didn't call me sophomoric. He says, I think the argument between them is a little sophomoric. Okay, so that means anybody else that gets really back and forth about whether it's a profession or an industry. So he's not talking about me. Okay, I'm going to answer your question now, Mr. Anonymous. Okay, would you help me with something? Yes, I will. How do you market to attorneys? Okay, great question. By the way, my main non-lender clients are homeowners, realtors, and attorneys in that order, by the way. Attorneys. Attorneys are an interesting bunch. So those of you who are attorneys out there, maybe plug your ears for a little bit because I'm going to get very generalized. I'm going to paint with a broad brush, and it's not going to be very nice. Okay? Okay. That being said, now that your ears are closed, I found attorneys to be really cocky. Okay, not all of them, of course, not you that's listening, but your friend that might be an attorney. I found that they have a very big ego and you have to cater to that. Okay, it's one of the reasons I don't enjoy working with attorneys as much as I would like to. Okay, now there's some attorneys that I love working with. Okay, I've got some friends that are attorneys. So that being said, that qualifies me, right? I've got friends who are fill in the blank, and therefore I'm cool. Okay. I actually do work with several attorneys, and they are good people. They are a little different breed. There's something about a personality that puts you into, debate and argument the rest of your life, right? And I find they sometimes bleed over into their business and their personal life even. So, okay. So that being said, with that qualification, let me say the best way that I have found is what's called the lawyer lunch. Okay, it caters to the fact that every one of us need to eat. It caters to the fact that we put each other on a level playing field because I'm paying for lunch. I usually put out an invitation to many attorneys in my area and say, hey, we're going to talk about the local real estate market, or we're going to talk about, the myths that you're hearing in the news about the local market. Okay, that usually will bring them in. I call these lawyer lunches because it's an alliteration. It's really cool. But if you want more detail, Mr. Anonymous, please go to my Go Create Some Value workshop online. I go into great detail. I even share with you my invite and my follow-up and the whole 9 yards. I describe a test process that we went through that actually turned out really, really well. Another one that did not turn out too well, and you can see, why and whether you're interested in either one of those. Okay, so Go Create Some Value workshop. It's located online. By the way, podcast is the coupon code. So if you want to download that for $50 less than it's advertised for, by the way, it's advertised way too low, and another $50 off of it is just incredible. So check it out. Go Create Some Value workshop. Part of that is describing and giving you the materials to do your own lawyer lunch. I've found great success with them. Great questions, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you have other questions, please reach out to me. Would love to handle any more that you can send me, and we will do this in a couple more weeks. Catch you later.